Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Tom's Hardware Podcast for December 20th, 2022. As always, I'm Tom's Hardware Editor-in-Chief, Avram Pilch. I am joined by Raspberry Pi expert Ash Hill, Associate Editor Les Pounder, and today's very special guest, Singh, who is here to talk to us about a very special product that his company SB Components is coming out with. What can you tell folks about yourself?
About myself. So I am a software engineer at SB Components, and I'm hearing a lot of echo. I don't know why.
I'm not. Are you guys?
I don't hear any.
No.
Okay, I'm just going to turn it down. Okay, so yes, I'm a software engineer at SB Components, and today I'm here to sort of present to you LapPi 2.0. And what it is, it's a case. This is so annoying. Yeah, no, I could hear myself like after a second. It's horrifying.
No worries. Do you want to drop out and reconnect and see if that sorts it? Okay, wait.
All right. Well, hey everyone. We will be talking about we'll be talking about a few things, but a Pi laptop, an upcoming Pi laptop is what he was here to speak to us about. Coming back.
Hello.
Any better now?
Yes.
Hello.
Oh God.
Fantastic.
It was so off-putting. Anyway, so yes, let me try again for the third time.
Cool.
I'm a software engineer at SB Components, and I'm here to bring to you LapPi 2.0. And what it is, it's a kit that you can make yourself to essentially either teach yourself how to, or what components often go into a laptop. So it includes a undisrupted power supply, a UPS, which should be able to give you up to about 2 to 3 hours of sort of undisrupted time.
Nice.
It comes with a 7-inch touchscreen LCD, so that is a capacitor touch LED. It also comes with a Bluetooth keyboard, so it's essentially one less wire that you have to worry about going to the Pi. So just to clean things up a bit, we've made it Bluetooth. It's entirely DIY, so you could either get it assembled or get it in its component parts, as in sheets of acrylic that you're going to have to screw together to make the laptop itself. So the entire purpose of it is as a sort of educational tool. So either you could use it, as I said, to learn about what components go into a laptop, or you could use it in the sense of in a classroom, because if you think about it, if you have a classroom of 30 students and you're trying to teach them on how to turn on an LED, first you're going to have to source out the Raspberry Pis, and then a monitor, and then the cable from the Pi to the monitor, and then it all becomes a massive mess. So if it's contained in what we're essentially providing you as a LapPi, and the LapPi obviously has the Raspberry Pi sort of exposed, so you have access to all the individual pins, all of the USB cables, all the USB ports, and the Ethernet port as well. So that is it. That is the LapPi. Oh yeah, there's a picture of it. So it also comes with a camera, or a place where you can put the camera, and some kits do include the camera itself. Also comes with speakers. So the speakers are connected to the screen, so it's audio through HDMI. And yes, that is about it. Any questions?
It's an interesting design principle, because it's like an old ThinkPad type design. It's quite a chunky laptop, but it's chunky on purpose, so you can have all the parts inside and see them exposed and have space to mess around with. I just wanted to ask the choice of acrylic. Why acrylic when there's so many other ways you could build a case?
One of the main reasons is because it's also accessible. So once the LapPi gets released, we're going to release all the sort of CAD documents that we'd use to make it and publish them. So you could essentially make it yourself. So the hinges themselves are also 3D printed. So everything here you could technically make yourself. We've done all of so the main sort of improvements from this versus the last version is the fact it has a UPS. It can support multiple boards. I'll get to that. And also the main part, which is better balancing, because you could sort of imagine that obviously one side is vertical and the rest is horizontal. And if it isn't sort of designed properly, it will sort of tilt or go over and make some horrifying noises, as was the case with the last LapPi. So we've done all of that for you for this product. So again, so acrylic, as in it's easy, widely available, and sort of tying into the entire do-it-yourself aspect of the project.
You said you would get into it later. I want to know now, what models of Raspberry Pi does it support? So
it supports anything that has the Raspberry Pi form factor. So not only is it the Raspberry Pi, but you could also put in the Rocky Pi. You could also put the I think it's the Asus Tinkerboard or the Banana Pi as well, as long as it has the form factor plus a HDMI port. You could put it into the LapPi and use it.
Could you use a Pi Zero?
No. So it has to be the Raspberry Pi 3 form factor. However, I assume you could probably drill your own holes and put the Pi Zero in. So that's like an extra project.
There'll be ways and means to do it, won't there? A Dremel and imagination is all you need.
Yes.
Can you close the hinge?
Close it. Close the laptop. Yes, yes, you can. So the hinges, they fully do work like a laptop. Yeah, I was meant to have a sort of sample of it, but it didn't reach me in time. So I would have shown you, but I can't. Sorry.
We're picturing it.
That's I mean, that's really cool. I can't imagine somebody should buy this without buying the pre-built one. Because that would take all the fun away of building it and all the educational experience.
Exactly.
I mean,
it takes up to about an hour and a half to 2 hours to build. So that's the sort of timescale that or commitment you're buying into when you buy the LapPi.
Yeah, but I mean, you should. I mean, that's not very long. All things considered, it doesn't look like you have to do any soldering either, right? It's just
no
just
soldering.
screwing things together. So
plug and play.
Yeah, it all looks like aftermarket components. So the UPS is an aftermarket board. The 7-inch screen, just all modules that you can happily buy. And should something happen, you could easily replace them, I'm guessing, as well. Yeah.
And if you sort of think, oh, I want to tinker with the ESP and, I don't know, see if I can make my own, take that out, put your own one in, and I don't know, have your way with it. Probably the ESP is the last thing that you're going to mess with, but yes, you can.
That's really cool because, I mean, because obviously there's lots of great ways for kids to learn about how these things work. I remember a few years ago, I think they stopped making it, but there was the Kano computer, which had a kind of a concept like this, where you had a bunch of snap together parts, but it wasn't a laptop that folded. It was just like a screen and then a keyboard. So this seems like a big step up from that.
Is there a degree of modularity to the design? And by that, I mean, can you swap components for other things, leave certain things out, room to add anything?
Yes. So as I said, the boards are entirely modular. So you could, I'm done learning about the Raspberry Pi, swap that out for the Rocky Pi, and do some more sort of intense computation, because obviously the Raspberry Pi could only handle so much. So the other sort of boards that it supports, the Asus Tinkerboard as well. They're primarily used for sort of image processing or AI related things. So like you could entirely swap out and do a completely different thing to what you were doing with, let's say, the Raspberry Pi. Also, the 7-inch screen, the mountings are pretty standard. So any screen that fits the mount you could put in, or if you want, have your own way with the drill and put your own holes in. So yeah,
that's
so you have. Yes, that is a fun part. Yeah, you could also, swap out the speakers for whatever reason you would want. So as they are completely separate from the screen and the Pi itself, and they just plug into the screen. So if you want, you could get some sort of microphone related speaker as well and put that on.
Nice. I'm thinking of this. You can get portable arcade cabinets, so to speak, where they just fold in on themselves. And I'm thinking replacing the top panel with just a piece of acrylic with the joystick controls ready to go, all wired up. Portable arcade cabinet, wherever you go, pull it out, play some great games.
And it would
Just
look-
remember to shut when you shut the lid, take the joystick out, otherwise it's going to break the screen.
You open up again and there's a massive gaping hole.
There you go. Ventilation.
Yes.
So how much is this going to cost, and when can folks get it?
It's currently available on Kickstarter, so if you can support the project that way. The base sort of module without the Raspberry Pi costs, I think, $199. And obviously we're going to be releasing the schematic files anyway, so you could print them out if you have the equipment yourself. But we'll be looking to ship this from next year March onwards. So all the details are on the Kickstarter and when you could start expecting things to be done. So yeah, so March next year is the first time you could sort of expect to get your hands on them.
Yeah, there's also tiers where you can have Raspberry Pis added
Yes.
as well, isn't there? Or
Yes.
Raspberry Pi 4.
You could also buy other sort of hats that we provide as well. So our new sort of 4G expansion or 4G Pi hat, so you could buy that alongside it as well. So
Yeah.
give you something to start on.
Interesting.
That's neat. I like the idea of adding hats because we were talking earlier about the modularity of it, and that's something.
Yeah,
we
so
could throw in.
Yeah, so as the Raspberry Pi is completely sort of exposed, you could, I know I'm done with this with the 4G hat. I'm going to put the RFID one on now. I'm done with this. I'm going to put another one on, or just have cables flying out of it. Whatever sort of floats your boat there. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, SB Components has a lot of really, really cool stuff. What are some of the other products that people should be looking for in SB Components? Are there any other like custom kits or systems that you guys are that you guys have out that people should be aware of?
So we do have other kits as well. So ranging from the microbit to microbit sort of starter packs to other. I think we have some cars going around, some 4-motor cars, 3-motor cars. We have the stem bit. If you've seen that, that is the microbit, but it comes with an entire host package of Lego pieces that you could start making your own little robots with. So as a starting, that is pretty good because you could, the sort of range you have with that is sort of not endless. Obviously, you have limitations of Lego, but as a base, that's a good place to start. So if you're looking to start, the stem bit is where to go.
Yeah, I mean, definitely microcontrollers where you don't have to worry about the Linux OS are good for like really getting started, because then you don't have to think about installing the operating system or anything like that, just a program. But you know, this being able to like build the laptop, you know, I think it's just a great experience to have with your kid. If you know, one has kids and you want to like do something with them, this seems like a really wonderful like way to you know, bonding experience and experience to teach them stuff. I mean, I've really enjoyed building robots and building desktops and building things with my son. So like, this is exactly the kind of thing that, you know, we really eat it up, because, you know, if it just came pre-made, it would be no fun. Like you have to, you know, you have to have the challenge of putting it together, and then the pride of like, oh, I built this thing. That's really cool. So
definitely.
So I think this is a great idea.
I wanted to ask, we talked about the hardware quite a lot, but is there any specialist software in Raspberry Pi OS or any specialist software that you've created at SB Components that interacts with the laptop, to watch the battery management or something like that?
That will be a very good idea. I will talk to people about that. However, I'm currently working on software relating with sort of iOS interaction with the ESP12. So yes, definitely I'll talk to people about having some specialist software come in. That does sound like a good idea. But currently, as it stands, there isn't any.
No problem. I asked because PyTop, when they released their laptop, they had a battery management, like a watcher applet I'll keep watching the battery. That's all.
It does sound like a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds really great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. What are some of the other things that you're working on day to day in your job as an engineer?
So I'm a part-time university student. So when I'm not at university, I am doing stuff with SB components. So currently I'm working on sort of the iOS and ESP12. So just making a base application that could be sort of pushed to other different things. For example, I don't know if you remember, but the Roundify. So connecting with that automatically, or some sort of basis of software that could be used to go further on that. I just got a sort of message saying that there is some battery management on the USP. So
it's on the hardware.
It's on the hardware, and I think there is some software that comes along with the hardware that we use.
Good.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because 2 to 3 hours is fantastic for a Raspberry Pi laptop, really. But it's just getting that indication of, you've got 10 minutes to save your work and shut down, that sort of thing. People are always a bit skittish. I know I am with my laptop. It's elderly now. I think it's about 10 years old, my laptop, which is, elderly in laptop stages. But if I get 2 hours out of that, it's a miracle. And it gives me about 2 minutes warning when it's going to shut down.
Oh, well, it's amazing how long things last, though, right? I mean, when you think about it, I would sort of semi-related was doing an article today on how, on whether it's a good idea to buy, used kit and buy used monitor. And, depending on where you read it, people are saying like, you can get like 80 to 100,000 hours out of a backlight. And if you had a laptop, that you've been using for 10 years, the battery always seems to be the thing that goes first on any device, because lithium ion just doesn't have the lifespan. So speaking of things that go, Les, you have something you've been working on.
I have indeed, yes. As you can probably tell, it's the holiday season now. There's lights everywhere. Everyone's having fun, and well, there's lots and lots and lots of blinkies in my house. So here is one of the blinkies.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Let's get it all in shot. This is, believe it or not, a dollar store toy.
Huh? Really?
Yep. Inside it originally were just a series of 20 LEDs that had no animation whatsoever. They were just dumb LEDs that shone white. They were lovely, but dumb. So inside this now, if I just tip it to the side, you can see it, are NeoPixels, WS2812B NeoPixels. And these are like the large fairy light versions. But running the show is an ESP8266, specifically a Wemos D1 Mini. Now, I'll put this down for a second so I can hold up what it is. A Wemos D1 Mini is this. It's similar to the ESP12 that I was talking about before. In fact, I think the ESP12 is a smaller version of this. Let's get that in shot. There we go. And to give you a size comparison, here's a Pico W next to it. So it is tiny, and it's also not in focus. There we go. Tiny little board. You can pick them up from AliExpress for about £2, so about $3 roughly. So, what's inside the star? Just that. So I've got a little circuit board that I made about 3 years ago that has just simple smoothing capacitor inside it to make sure the LEDs are fed a nice constant 5 volts. So I'm going to hold this here. This is going to be interesting for the shot for me to control this. On that little ESP8266 Wemos D1, that thing there is WLED, which is a piece of software that's so easy to install. It's so easy to install, you can do it from a browser window. All I have to do is just plug in my ESP device. It'll detect it via web serial. I then click install, have a coffee, come back, and it's installed and ready to go. Just connect it up to my NeoPixels, and we're good to go. And this is the control interface that you have for it. So right now I've got it in some, what is it now? Rainbow colors by the look of it. So I'm going to go for something a bit different. So tri-fade. It should fade it about 3 or 4 times. Yeah, there we go. We've got color wipes. I can then change the colors on the fly if I wish. So if I want to have a nice orange, perhaps, I can. Fear to chase lights. All sorts. There's so many to choose from. And it's all via this really simple web interface. Now, it's not just about making blinkies appear at a touch of a button. I can also connect it to MQTT, that sort of thing. And this is where I try and look over my screen. There we go. So I can send DMX commands. I can send Alexa voice assistant, Blink, MQTT, you name it. You can send it. You can also have multiples of these set up in your home. So this is in the living room window. I can have this in the window, one in the dining room, one in the kitchen, everywhere around the house. And I can just sync them all up to show exactly the same pattern at the same time, just by having one user interface. It's absolutely amazing. And the best thing of all, it's free. You don't have to pay any money for it. All you got to do is buy your Wemos D1 Mini ESP8266, and away you go. So simple.
What are you using to power it?
My bench power supply, which is 5 volts. So I've got a Pine power supply. There you go. Can't show it, unfortunately. Can't move the camera that far.
Does that plug into the wall, or is it USB?
It's USB, what it supplies, but it's also plugged into the wall. So Pine power, going slightly off topic, is it's a power brick that can supply 5 volts via 3 USB ports, and it can supply 5 to 9 volts via an additional red USB port. There's a USB-C port on there which can do up to, I think it's 65 watts, so I can power my laptop from that piece of kit. It also powers my soldering irons. So when I'm soldering a project up, I can just plug into that and I don't have to do anything else. I was plugged into a socket. It's just great. About $40 it was.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. But yeah, this WLED and the Wemos D1, there'll be a tutorial very soon on Tom's Hardware showing you how to do this. And I tell you, it's really simple.
That's really cool, guys.
Awesome. We have a question for how hard is it to integrate an SSD into the LapPi 2?
Depends what board you're using. It'll be as hard as it is to integrate it with the Pi itself. Other than that, I don't think it'll be too much harder than with a couple of zip ties or a couple of holes. So not too hard, I would say.
Great.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing there would be if it was a Raspberry Pi 4, it'd be over USB, so you'd have to run the USB cable out of the laptop, back into the laptop. So perhaps a right-angled right-angled lead would be the best option for that one.
Possibly you could try and take advantage of the pins and try and get the USB or the Raspberry Pi to play nice with the SSD through the pins itself. But if you go for a different board which has the same form factor, which does have actual support for an SSD, I don't figure it'll be that hard.
Yeah, something like a Cadis Vim4 Edge 2, which has onboard eMMC and also M.2 storage on the Vim4. That could be viable as an option. I'm guessing you could. It'd be a squeeze. Get a Latte Panda Delta, 3 Delta in. It'd be a squeeze because that's quite a large board compared to a Pi. I think it's about 1.5 times the size. But it could be possible.
Or worst comes to worst, strap it to the bottom, make another case.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, Ash, what are you working on this week?
This week, because as Les pointed out, and as the tree indicates, it's the holiday season, I wanted to share some Raspberry Pi projects that we've covered at Tom's Hardware over the last couple of years that are Christmas holiday themed, and you can imagine they're full of LEDs, and that's kind of like the fun part of it. So let me get my screen adjusted. And the first one I want to talk about, I actually mentioned this one the week before last, but I'm bringing it up again because they did such a wonderful job on it. This person made a model village out of, you can get these little like model houses and like a little model train, and a lot of the buildings will have lights inside. And he was building this for his wife so she could have just like this nice table with everything set out, and it's controlled by a Pi. All of the buildings, the train, everything is connected to a Pi, and it runs a web interface with a little, there's what it looks like under the table, but there's a beautiful web interface that he made, so you can use your phone to turn the different buildings on and off, change the color. It's just, I think it's really cool. I had to point that one out. The next project I wanted to share was, this was from a couple years ago, but I like that it brings the community together. So this is obviously Christmas lights set up outside of somebody's house, but neighbors can control the lights by going on their phone. He's got a web app. If you know the URL, then you can go to it and just mess with your neighbor's house and make it whatever color you want. I thought that was pretty fun. I think it's running on it's running on a Flask server. It uses Python. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
This one is similar to the last one, but it's different because it's not just a string of lights. It's like a whole, as they describe it, like, or on the article, it says a dazzling Christmas, like lighting effects. Like it's intense. There's so many lights involved in this setup. It's just beautiful. You've got the trees, you've got the little matrix sign, and they have this box. If I can find a picture of it. Yeah, the control box they put together to control everything is just really impressive. I mean, it is an over-the-top Christmas lights display center. It's just really cool how involved it is.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Definitely check this one out if you're into over-engineered projects that are just right. This one here, this is similar to Les's, but what he had to share today. But this is a Christmas star. It's got a really beautiful wooden frame, and inside are NeoPixels. And it uses a Raspberry Pi to control it as far as like the colors go. And I think they're individually addressable, so you can make some really neat effects, stick it on top of your tree, put it in a window. I just really like that they took the time to make a wood finish for the panel. I think they said it's walnut and cherry. Yeah, on the video there. That looks nice.
It just makes it really classy. Oh, it's not just a cheap plastic toy. It's been a bit of thought and care has been put into that. That's nice.
It's handcrafted and it just feels good. And then one more I wanted to share. This is a tutorial that was recently uploaded that you can follow along with, created by Ryder Damon. It's a sign using a matrix panel that you can use to count down the days till Christmas or count down the days till anything that you want to keep track of. I think he's using a Pi 4, but you can use anything as small as a Pi 0. It doesn't take much to drive this, but it's just a fun idea to count something down. Maybe you've got a birthday, you want to have a kid excited to track or something like that, or a vacation. It's a year-round kind of, it's a universal project, I think, but it's really cool. So definitely check this out if you want the tutorial on how to set that up at home.
That's nice. That's one of those Hub 75 panels as well, which are the RGB LED panels that you can get. They're really popular now. Pimoroni released the other day the Interstate 75W. Mm-hmm. We've reviewed the Interstate 75 about a year ago now, maybe 18 months. But the new version's Pico on board. So it has a Pico W built into it. There you go. That's what Avram's got.
Nice, Avram. You just got that on hand.
Yeah, it's got a Pico W actually built into the board. So now you've got a web addressable Hub 75 controller. So that's amazing. That's great fun. I mean, Pimoroni right now, I'm knocking out loads of LED stuff. We've got Galactic Unicorn, which I'm reviewing right now. It's good. It's really good fun. Plasma 2040W, which is an update to the Plasma 2040 now with Pico W on board, and now Interstate 75W. So yeah, web-controlled blinkies are great fun.
I remember being a kid and thinking how cool it was when you would see banks with the big like matrix signs, and they would have like snowflakes go by and the animations for the clocks. And now it's like you can just have that in your home with a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Yep. No doubt about it. So there's a lot of cool things that you can have in your home. Thank you so much to everybody for watching, listening. Thank you so much, Om, for coming today. If folks want to learn more about about the LapPi 2, what's the best place to go?
Currently, the Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter is currently live. So if you try and find us at it's as simply just as LapPi 2.0, and it should come up. All the information that you should need is in the description there. And if you have any more questions, feel free to post a question there, and we'll try our best to get back to you.
Very cool.
Yes, one could also go to the SB Components website where it's linked right off of the top
Yes.
banner. So to get to that Kickstarter, which is really cool. Well, thanks everybody for watching and listening. We'll be back next week, Tuesday the 27th, to talk about all the exciting, hopefully Pi gear that we got for the holidays. Maybe by then I'll have figured out how to use this watch, which I have been teasing for a while, which is not exactly a Pi thing, but is an ESP32 board that acts as a watch, and then you can plug. This is called a C-Stick M5 Plus, and you can attach different hats to it, like this joystick, and then and sensors and stuff, and do cool things with it. Someone's made some games for it. I got to try installing. You can program it in Arduino language, or it has its own block-based UI you can do in your browser. I think there's a Python interface for it also. So pretty cool. But anyway, thanks to everybody. We will see everybody next week. Bye, everyone.